Well, it's Claudia here, and tonight we've got a special show lined up for you. Unfortunately, Vicky, Miles and Ken aren't with us this evening, but I'm joined by Dale and Ian to break down all the latest news and happenings at the club. A week has passed since the arrival of our new head coach, Frank Lampard, and we'll be discussing what impact that's had so far. We'll dive into where we need to strengthen, where any positional changes are on the cards, and the big question, which formation suits us best under Lampard's leadership? Plus, we've got a big trip to Millwall coming up, so we'll chat about that and, how are we feeling about that one? And of course, we can't forget Spot the Ball, where you guys can get involved and we'll cover anything else you want to discuss. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you're enjoying the show, we want to hear your thoughts too. Well, let's bring our guests in. We have Dale. Good evening, Dale.
Evening.
And how are you?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad at all. And Ian, of course, is across the channel because Ian's in France, aren't you, Ian?
Evening all. Yeah. Been living here for about 14 years now.
And, incredibly, your internet sounds fantastic.
Starlink.
There you go. You see, this is what we've been discussing actually for our channel. So it does. It sounds fantastic. Well, firstly, I want to know about your trips because you've got a season ticket and you travel from France and you rarely miss a home game. So what's the whole trip entail when you come over for a home game?
I drive an hour to Limoges Airport, jump on Ryanair to Stansted. My son and granddaughter live 20 minutes from Stansted in Hoddesdon, so I get my head down in a hotel or a Premier Inn or something for the night. Pick them up, drive up to Cov, watch the game, drive back, stay in a hotel again, and get a flight back either Sunday or Monday. Last week, of course, we had 2 games, so I took advantage to catch up with friends and family so I could see both the Blades and Cardiff games. Yeah,
so, I presume you're travelling on your own, I gather, when you come to these games.
I travel on my own from France, but I bring my son and my granddaughter. We've got 3 season tickets.
So you got plenty of time to ponder, haven't you, on the way there and definitely on the way back from the games?
Sadly, yeah.
And are the trips feeling a lot longer now coming home after you've been to the game?
This week was hard.
Yes. What about you, Dale? You're obviously born and bred Cov, I believe?
Yeah, born and bred in Cov. I've been going since I think I was probably 98. I was born in 92, so my dad cursed me and started me early doors on that. And you get the bug, don't you? And then that's it. It becomes a lifetime thing.
So yeah. Asking you both then, your first match, Dale, can you remember any memories?
First match is difficult. I vaguely remember the Premier League. That's the shirt I wore at the last game at Highfield Road.
Right, yeah.
Which is still covered in the dirt.
Fantastic.
And beyond that, it's hazy. But I remember having to wear earplugs because I was scared of the noise. So I've definitely been going since I was younger, but I can't. That's about as early as I can remember.
Now, Ian, you must be similar age to me, so I'd imagine.
67 was my first game. That Wolves game, the famous 3-1.
Really?
Yeah.
So
my dad worked with one of the stewards who got me in, and I sat in front of the little shelter where the disabled cars used to go.
Yeah.
And it got fuller and fuller and fuller, and we had to move off the bench to the side of the pitch. And I was mesmerised. I thought, is it like this every week?
Yeah. I
was 9.
You were 9. So have you got vivid memories of the early years of going up to Highfield Road?
Yeah, I was a ball boy for 2 seasons.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it.
I mean, are you better than the ones we got now?
I did embarrass myself the other week. You've got one job to do, you know. Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Now, before we carry on, we got Spot the Ball. So everybody watching, have a go at this. They're the Bulls. Now, obviously, I've seen the answer. So, Ian and Dale, you go first.
Go on, Ian. Go on. Have a pop.
14.
Dale?
I'm trying to stop myself from saying 1.
Yes.
I'm gonna say 7. I think it's in that direction, but that's a bit on the nose for me.
All right, okay. All right. Also, before we go any further, we have this chap here, John Taylor's gone missing in Leamington, and there's been a big call out for him. Well, his last seen 3rd of December, 9:20 a.m. in Abbey Fields, actually next to Finham Brook. So that's Kenilworth, actually. So if anybody's seen this chap, please get in touch with. There's a number down there. I think there's a number. I haven't got a number there, but yes, if you see him, call 999 quote 158 3rd of December. The family are desperate, and it's not a hoax. There's a lot of these hoaxes, isn't there, where people put them online. So right then, let's start. Well, I'll get the comments up as well. And firstly, I want to ask you, Ian, and Dale, because he's not really had chance. The sacking of Mark Robins and the appointments of Frank Lampard. Now, we won't dwell on the sacking of Frank Robins, but was there any other choices for you apart from Frank Lampard, Ian, or do you think that's the best we could have hoped for? What was your opinions on that?
Once we heard what had happened in the background with AD, I think a lot of us were surprised and less angry. So that was a good move of Doug's. And then it was the best kept secret that Frank was coming. If I had my choice, probably sentimental rather than business, I would have gone for John Eustace and Fads as a partnership.
Yeah. And why? Well, I'll say why then. Basically, why do you think John
brought into the club, part of the history? Fads has got a recent history with us. If he could achieve half as a coach of the back 4 or the back 3 or the back 5 that he did as a player, I think he'd be a real asset. And I think they'd be here for some time. My only worry with Frank is if he does well, and we all hope he does, he'll be courted by bigger clubs because he's such a huge name.
Yeah. So, what about you, Dale? What was your thoughts on it? The appointment.
It was
it's
difficult.
It feels like a month, doesn't it? It's only been a week.
Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster. And it was hard to not get swept up in the tumble dryer of the rumour mill. Most of them, I kept checking Sky Bet, and after the top 3 or 4, it starts getting a bit laughable. I know Nicky Butt was in there somewhere, but John, when I heard the rumor that John Eustace, Blackburn have let him get in contact with the club, I don't know how far it went, but like Ian, I'd say he was up there. Van Nistelrooy definitely piqued my interest, I would say, just because it's something completely fresh. He maybe doesn't have I think what put us all off Frank Lampard a little bit was, for some reason, people want that golden generation of England stars to fail. They love to, outside the club, they love to see them fail. So I was a bit worried about him bringing that, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, he definitely wants to get to work, doesn't he? That's his. Whereas Mark Robins used to say brilliant a lot. Frank seems to mention this word work, which is a bit worrying because it sounds like maybe what he's seen briefly, we didn't look like we had been working enough. I mean, it all looked different before the kickoff, didn't it? With all the training routines before the start of the game, we thought that was quite neat, and that's a bit different. Me personally, I didn't know who I wanted. It was difficult because I don't think we expected Mark to be sacked. It wasn't going particularly well. I watched Match of the Day last night and I saw Gary O'Neill at Wolves, and I'm thinking he's had a hell of a time since we've beaten them in the FA Cup. Far worse than Mark Robins. How's he still in the job and Mark Robins hasn't got one? Yeah, it is weird, isn't it, how football management goes. Regarding Frank, I think he's got a massive job ahead now. It's
huge.
And we can, as we were saying, we want to talk about where we want to strengthen and all the rest of it. And I said, well, where do we start? Where do we need to strengthen? Ian, where do you think? Where's the most obvious, I suppose, to you?
Well, it's not going to take a genius to work out that our defences all over the place. Individually, I quite like them. I like Bobby. I like Binksy. I quite like Milan as a right back. I don't mind Kitch, but put them all together, and the sum of the parts are certainly less than the individuals. So I think if we could get hold of a classic thinking, motivating centre half, we need one. I think we need centre mid. I don't know what's wrong with Shifo. I love him, and he's playing pretty good, but I think he's only in third gear. I don't think he's recovered from that ankle injury properly.
I've heard that he's having. Sorry to interrupt you, Ian. I've
go on.
I've heard he's having. I don't know how true this is, but I've heard he's having injections before every game. I think he's still carrying the knock.
That would explain a lot. And plus he's coming to the end. I know he's got 18 months to go, but he's coming to the crucial time of the Gus and Vic discussions on his future. So we need somebody in now. We need somebody in January. I think up front, it would be a shame to bring in a loan like a Cameron Archer a couple of years ago or somebody like that, because we've got Hadji back hopefully in a month. Norman looks a fan's favourite in the making. Yeah. It would be a shame not to see those two, injuries permitting, have a good run. I'm afraid I'm not a Sims fan, and I haven't seen anything from Thomas Asante yet to suggest that he could solve our problem. But I would like to see Hadji and Norman Bassett as a two. I think there's some guile mixed with a crazy Jack Russell in there somewhere.
Yeah. What about you, Dale? Where do you think we need to look at to strengthen the side currently? Is there anything we can do you think, to strengthen that team?
I've got a fair amount of notes, so I'll try and compress it so I'm not waffling.
No, you crack on.
So the first place I started when I was having a think in my van today was Milan's off it. He's completely off it. There's rumours that his head's been turned. People are saying he hasn't got any competition, so he's, he's not fighting for a place. Bit complacent, maybe. I'm not sure. So I was looking at realistically what could we do there, and the cheapest option would be, if possible, I don't know if it's in his contract, would be to pull Jack Burrows back. I personally didn't see enough of Burrows to say that he's not good enough. I would like to have seen him maybe get used to it. But having someone like that behind Milan would push Milan to go, hang on a minute, this is my shirt, you back off. The only other right back at the club other than Milan, forgetting Burrows for a minute, is a 19-year-old called Greg Sanderford, who's in the under-21s. No, people in the chat might go and watch the academy. I don't know anything about him, but I've just had a look through the academies, and he's the next one that we don't have a lot of right backs at all. So it looks like the under-21s, they also don't have like a replacement if their right back goes. So it's sort of club wide, that problem. But yeah, that's the right back. Centre mid, we're still looking for this. Obvious, everyone knows we need that playmaker. We got rid of most of them. Maybe Kai Andrews needs a bit of work and a bit more time, but he's certainly a centre mid we've got. Didn't really put a foot wrong when I've seen him. Going back to the under-21s, there are 5 midfielders in the under-21s who are 18 and 19 that could play in the senior game. Again, I don't know the quality, but one of them's listed as an attacking midfielder, which is a chap called Kai Yearn. Attacking midfielder to me says number 10, but it depends how you take it. Centre forward, I think we're okay. Once Hadji's back and in the mix, I think we're fine. But one thing I looked at with the academy was it's the cheaper option to bring them up and promote them, but the entire squad, the 18, 19-man squad of the under-21s, is worth 350k altogether, every single one of them, which kind of tells you there might be a lack of quality that we're not even sort of 500k, 700k for what's coming out of our academy.
They're and aren't both teams in the bottom of the table at the minute? They're both struggling, aren't they? Which is not a great sign, is it? Because we've said on this show before, we've not really brought anybody through. Josh Eccles, really, who's stayed in the first team. Everyone else has disappeared, or just doesn't get a shot, or goes on loan and then disappears. For me, currently, to strengthen, we've got to play somebody in front of our back four. We'll come to formations and stuff, but do you sacrifice Eccles or Sheaf and take one out of the team and allow one of them to play in a really deep role, a bit like the Makaleli, Essien, Kante sort of role in front of our back four? Because I think he's going to do 4-3-3, is Frank Lampard. If he does that, our two central defenders need protecting. And then you allow maybe, I suppose you could go Eccles plays that role. You could have Sheaf and Torp in front of him then. I don't know. I mean, that's something to look at. But I think to strengthen at the minute, the only thing we can do is to stop leaking goals. I mean, the last 6 games, 5 matches, we've let in 2 goals. And it's become ridiculous, hasn't it, really? And we know as a team. And the thing is, we can't seem to... we're terrible on crosses. There's panic, isn't there? There's absolute panic when the ball goes into our box. And you just want somebody to take control. We've obviously got decent players. That's without a shadow of a doubt. They're not, they're not rubbish, that's for sure. But you just feel they've lost their way a bit. And I'm not really convinced there's anybody in our entire squad that is capable to take the players by the scruff of the neck and say, come on, boys, we need to sort this out. There's a lot of old heads have left this club in the last year or so. We're left with the players who don't seem to have a voice. That's what it looks like to me. I thought Bobby Thomas might be that type of player, to be honest, but I've not really seen that either. And what summed it up for me was the corner that led to the goal, was that the ball comes in after yet again we got done by a slide pass down our left-hand side. We cannot defend down our left-hand side at all. The ball comes in and 2 players sort of go for the ball in a panic. And you kind of think, if they're more controlled, that ball just gets hoofed up the pitch, doesn't it? It gets cleared. And at times, we just seem to be so panicky, I think is the word. It reminds me of when, on a Sunday morning, when you had your team had a ropey goalkeeper, and every time the ball came anywhere near the box, thinking, oh no, we've got to get it away. And it's a whole panic sets in. So maybe it starts from the keeper then. Maybe it's got to be from the keeper onwards that we need to be more more secure defensively, because I'm not sure I've got much confidence in the keepers either. So maybe that's something they should have done in the summer. Miles used to go on about it and say we need an experienced keeper. And that's probably where the starting point should have been. Okay, we can look at positional change. I know you've done a whole list. Before I do that, Dale, I'm going to spot the ball back up again. And here we go. For those of you who have not seen it yet, where's the ball? So I need to put the answer up then. I'll go to some comments first before we carry on. So let's get these comments out. All right. Says Paul Cutterford, let's hope Frank has drilled into the players how to defend and how to score first and keep a lead all in a week. Maybe too much to ask for. Lots of evening alls from Paul Hughes, Julie Thomas, War History. Dad said, where's Ian? Ian's in France. Whereabouts in France are you, Ian?
Between Poitiers and Limoges.
Ah. So you, can you speak the lingo? Can you speak the lingo?
I'm okay in shops and restaurants.
That's what matters. I was going to say bonsoir and all that when you came on. I forgot to do it. And come ça va. That's about it for me. And I'm Italian. All Travel Advice says, do you think France will fix the defence issues? Well, that's what we've just been saying. I think it needs to. Also, Gibbo, I'm looking forward to seeing how Frank and the coaching team have been able to implement their ideas this week for a better performance and a win. Gordon Tulliard, do you think it's true that Mark Robins said he would take the whole job but won't be interviewing for it? Is it true? How big is his ego? I was told he was offered it. I was told that last weekend. So who knows? I mean, they're bonkers, they are, that club. Would you want to take that on? I mean, he's had 7 years of basically trying to pull a club forward to where we are now, and it's kind of like, has he got it in him to do it again with another club? I
think if he has said that to Hull, it's probably because he wants the time off.
Yeah,
a better way of turning it down. And
I think
I'm not sure. It seems a little out of character for Robins, to be honest.
Yeah, when you saw him at the when he got his doctorate, he looked so chilled out, didn't he? So that's only after a few days. All travel advice: Ruben Sellers looks like he's going to Hull, not Mark Robins. Doug Bolam says, "Evening all, clean sheet would be fantastic this weekend." Wayne Littlewood's in Dubai. Yeah, we had to kick him out of the country, so he's he's out there. And Adam Shaw. Last Saturday weren't great, but we saw what Lampard wanted. De Silva tucked in while Mason Clark stretches the pitch, followed by overlapping runs by Rodoni, Tats inverted and Milan high and wide. It doesn't really matter, does it, Ian? What he implements, it's going to take more than just a couple of games, isn't it, to get going?
Well, we've had 3 or 4 new coaches start of the season, 2 or 3 new coaches last week. The players, have got to really take a lot in. I think whoever made that comment about clean sheets is right. We've got to start with the basics. And if we get a scruffy 0-0 at Millwall, right now, that'll do me.
Yeah. Can I have a scruffy 1-1? Let me see a goal. I'm going down on Saturday. Just a goal.
Last time I went down there, we won 4-0.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Ramirez and Armstrong and Maddison.
Yeah, I've got the stats here. We haven't done too badly since 2015, I think it is. Richard Gayton, hi all. Do you think we've got too many players who can play in various positions and not excel in a position? Well, I don't know if they can play in various positions. I think some of them, what do you reckon, Dad, have been made to play in a position they don't want to play in, because Mace and Efron doesn't look right on the right, does he? And that's what happened in the second half against when he swapped him over. It seemed like a weird thing to do. That did. What do you think?
Yeah, I was I turned to my girlfriend next to me and I said, I don't understand why they've switched. Surely you bring Asante on, keep him on the right, because EMC looks absolutely lost when you switch it around. And I was definitely lost. I'd like to know the reasoning. Maybe he said to Mason Clark, said to Frank, he said, "Cafe, put me anywhere, I can do it," but you can't.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Mark Packham says, I've been supporting Coventry since 1976. I was a steward at Coventry for 5 years at the West End. Great days. Gibbo says, got me tickets for Pompey. Where are you guys going to do your live stream from on Friday? SBA is doing our bit again. Sellouts for Millwall, West Brom and Portsmouth. Yeah, 3,000 tickets sold for Millwall. I think that's incredible. Baggage are only up the road in Portsmouth. We're going to be at the Ibis Hotel. Miles and Ken will be there. I won't be there. I'm on my Christmas do with work. So I'll be missing out on that one. And they'll be there. And there'll be a couple of Portsmouth fans. There's also somebody, hopefully, a kind of celebrity turning up. He's from that neck of the woods, but not Harry Redknapp. Hopefully he'll turn up, which will make it a fun evening. Peter Doolan, good evening. All things can turn around pretty quickly and could all be talking about something different. Certainly hope it does. Mark Rainbow, outside player selection. What do you expect the first visible change to the way the team performs the new coaching team will make? What do you expect to see this change on the pitch. And we'll talk about that in just a moment, actually, because Dale's kindly come up with 3 different sort of formations and selections, and we can rip them apart. Tom Baker, my objection to Lampard is just that, as a general rule, great players don't make great managers, but people tend to expect great things from them. It's interesting that he's took 18 months out of the game completely. I'd imagine he must have had offers. What do you think, Ian? He did say...
I think he said in his press conference he'd had offers or approaches.
So it's interesting. I think he just wanted some time out. I know he mentioned young family and all that. Maybe...
Yeah, he's living down in London, young family. I mean, if Sunderland came for him, I doubt if it would be practical. I'm not saying they did, but just as an example.
So we got Assassins United. Let's be honest, both fullbacks are currently poor, and we need Wilson back as soon as possible, as Collins and Dovin are terrible.
I think that back line, they look a lot more comfortable when it is Wilson there. And I know he's not the absolute greatest goalie you can get, but I think his persona and his communication, I think, helps. Whereas Brad, to me, still looks... It's at the end of last season, I felt like I just watched Brad Collins wilt in front of me.
Yeah, it's there's not a lot you can do when your keeper starts to have a wobble. I mean, when it feels like all 3 are wobbling, we've got a problem, haven't you? There's not a lot you can do, really, because you're going to have to play one of them and I think stick with them. So I'm going to get up your... Let's start with this then. Here we go. Dale. Now, I said, what can we do? What changes? Any positional changes and all the rest of it. So you got 3 different formations and lineups. Is that right?
Yeah.
No.
Scribbles of a madman, to be honest, but...
Here we go then. Explain yourself. So you got...
Okay, so I've gone for Dovin just because I don't think he's going to get better by just coaching and training.
So sorry, this is for Saturday.
Yeah. It's for Saturday, but it's just in general. I haven't really looked that much into Millwall other than the fact that they're playing well. Dovin in goal. Simply, I think he just needs to play and play. I think there is a player there, and I think saying it because my brain is telling me I'm comfortable when Wilson's in goal, but how much of that is because it's what I'm used to. Yeah. But then we buy keepers and I still want Wilson in goal. It just I don't think we can do that. So there's something in Dovin. They've seen it. I think that the two centre backs, I just keep the same. Don't start switching it out. They've got to change. It's not as simple as because at the minute I kind of feel like if you take them out, there'll be an element of relief. They'll be like, oh well, I could do with that. I think you just keep going, and you 2 are there for 10 games until you improve. Obviously, Milan, we don't have a choice, and I would put Bidwell in. Mm-hmm. Little unfair to drop Jay because I think going forward he's absolutely fine, but bless him, I think he's just too short to be a defender. But I'd play those 2, not a flat back 4. And not entirely the wing-back system. I think somewhere in between. And then, you've got Eccles and Sheed covering the middle of the park. Their potential, they get overrun. So you can bring Tats and EMC in, so you sort of create a box midfield. And then our only really real choice is Sims and Bissett, and you go for the big man, short man.
So, Ian, have you written down a team for Saturday?
I start from a different position, really. I think, where are our best players best suited?
Right. Okay.
You can have a back 3, you can have a back 4, you can play 4-3-3, you can play 4-5-1. I try and clear my mind of all the Scrabble letters and say this. We've got Hadji, if he were fit, as a forward. Don't play him on the left because he can't defend. So in an ideal world, him and Bissett up front. But let's think of Saturday. I would play Bissett up there with EMC in the number 10, which might frighten people. but I think he needs to be further forward. I'd then play a back three with 2 wing backs of Rodoni and Tats. So I'd have Milan, Bobby and Binks. And Milan and Tats are so interchangeable, they can sort out their own cover. And then have the 3 in the middle as Sheaf Eccles and Torp. So I'd play a 3-5-2.
Okay.
The 3-5-1-1 really. But I don't think we've got a lot of choice in midfield. It's a question of Eccles or Torp. But I love Rudy down the left. So I'd play him as left midfield and just leave Mason Clark to weave his magic up there, because he tried to get back against Cardiff and he didn't have a clue who he was marking. He was running back, but my lad sat next to me. He said, he's running back into fresh air. The bloke that's running past him was running away from him. So I would leave him up there where he's dangerous and leave Rudy to do the covering at the back 3. And I'd have Dovin in goal, or Dovin. I think we've paid 1.3 million for him. Play him and review it in May. And if he has 20 games, 30 games, however many we've got left, just stick with him. And injuries notwithstanding, you say to him in May, you've grown, you've matured, well done. Or you've had a good run in the side and you're not up to it. Because Collins and Wilson will be going anyway, won't they? Aren't they out of contract?
Wilson definitely is. I don't think Collins. We've only got 5 players out of contract.
Right. I just look at, for the best formation, pick a formation that suits your players, rather than Frank saying, right, we've got a 4-3-3. Okay, so who's the back 4 then?
Yeah.
Do you play Milan, or do you play Bobby, or do you play Latz? Do you play Binksy?
So
who's left back? Do you play Bidwell, who's too slow and leaving at the end of the year anyway? Or do you put Rudy in there?
So looking at Dale's team, then, if that came out the tunnel to kick, if that's stood at the starting lineup, ready to kick off, what would you think to that starting lineup?
I'd want Rudy in instead of Bidwell, because I don't think Bidwell's fit yet. And he's leaving at the end of the season, so stick with your 3.5 million man. I'd leave EMC up instead of Sims, and I'd bring in Torp, I think's missing, isn't he? So we'd have a 4-4-1-1 with EMC and Bissett. I don't think Sims brings anything. I'm sorry to the Ellis fans, but I just don't see him adding anything this year.
If Hadji was fit, he'd be in there instead.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's killing us a little bit. And, Hadji's the 1 and 2, 1 and 3 player. Whether he plays well or not, he usually scores. And it sort of made you realise how him being out, it's kind of made me go, well, maybe I need to shut up a little bit, because he clearly does something.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? With Hadji, right? You kind of think, when he's out, you kind of think, well, actually, we do miss him, because he has got a bit of pace and he's awkward, isn't he, for defenders to deal with? And other clubs always say he's a danger man. So if other clubs think he's a danger man, he's probably better than what we give him credit for, to be honest. And he is frustrating, but he scores goals and he scores vital goals as well. He
is frustrating because when you see him on his game like it was against Oxford, you think there's not another player in the league.
Yeah.
But then he'll turn up the following week and let a ball go under his foot into touch, trip over the fullback. He's just inconsistent. But he scored 7 goals already in 11 games?
Yeah, for a team who don't, well, we say we don't score enough. We're in the top 6 for goals scored. It's we are scoring enough goals. Considering our SG is off the scale for scoring goals. We probably should score more, because the amount we let in, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because if we scored an extra 10 goals this season, we'd have been way up the table. As far as I'm concerned, we are. I think they've worked it out that we should be 11 points better off, according to the statistics. Which I know they are statistics, and it's results that count, and all the rest of it. But these things are rarely wrong, at the end of the season when you tally it all up. So if that's the case, we should be 11 points better off because of all the chances we've created, regardless of all the goals we've let in. So it's that kind of is frustrating. Your second selection then, so this is for if everyone's fit as this? Or
It's an experimental one.
Oh, experimental. I like a bit of an experiment. So
3-3-2-1-1, or like that.
Talk us through this one, Dale.
Pretty much no width whatsoever, straight, narrow. But I don't think it'd work. This is just.
Have you been to the pub?
Yeah. To be honest, I was just seeing. I'm not a football manager. There's a reason I'm a plumber. But it's quite hard.
You stop the leaks, though, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I saw what you did there.
Yeah.
It's quite when you look at the deck of players that we've got. It's quite hard to do something different with it. You find I did a few of them, and you find yourself just doing a similar thing every single time. Yeah. So you got just something different.
Well, Binks, Thomas, and Kitching, that can happen anyway. You got Milan, who's on the left?
Broad.
Oh, you're the kid, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sheaf, right, okay. And then you got EMC, Radoni, Tavares, is that?
Yep.
I thought.
Is this for the cup game?
Yes, it probably could be actually. And I thought it said Mahrez. I thought I didn't realise we'd signed him. And then Bassett. Well, that's
I'll probably put Broad and Milan a bit too high up. They would be wing backs. Obviously, it'd be a back five. But
that looks like a 4-0 defeat, doesn't it? That's written all over that one, I think. We'll put your other formation up in a minute.
I think Binks at right, Kitchen at right back is classic. I like that.
Centre three. Milan's still the right back.
We've spent a lot of money. We had the other day we had nearly 20 million on the bench. That can't be good, can it? These are players that are brought in to start. Some of these, they should not be on the bench. I just find it, very, very strange.
I just thought after a few of them, I was sat there and I was like, well, obviously I'm a complete it's not my job. And I thought, I wonder if Frank sat there in a hotel somewhere looking at that, doing the same thing, just going, I don't know what to do with this.
Or Doug. No, definitely Frank picking the team. Mark Rainbow says he reckons Sheaf was stretching his groin hamstring during the game on Saturday. Subtle little stretches, apparently. Fran Hunter says, had an email today from the club. My season ticket for first floor Club Cov has been moved upstairs to top floor for the whole game. Be nice to meet any of the channel's hosts if you're up there. I know why you've been moved. It's a big event, and it's to do with, what's his name, Hamilton, the motor racing driver. I think his 40th is the week after, and I'm sure he's having a massive do there because I think everybody in the boxes are being kicked out, basically, which is great, isn't it? I mean, that's not the club's fault. This is to do with the CBS. It's not on really, is it? I think they can sit in the seats, but they can't use the box. So they're probably in all use for bedrooms, aren't they, basically? So that's it's to do with Lewis Hamilton. That's it. I think he's 40 because I'm not sure. I don't think he's retiring, is he? He's going to drive for Ferrari, isn't he, or somebody next year? I'm not into motor racing. Miles would know if he was here. Mark Lights, hope Frank does better than Strachan. Great player, useless manager here. Got us relegated. It's funny, Oggy was on the Sky Blue History podcast with myself and Jim Brown, and he really rated Gordon Strachan. But when you listen to Gordon Strachan, he always refers to the recruitment. Now, this is interesting. The 18 months previous to when we got relegated, he said it was really poor. Can you remember we had loads of great signings and then they kind of dried up, didn't they, Ian? Oh, you're too young, Dale.
I heard
off my dad. So
Robinson was after his money back, wasn't he?
We'll leave that there.
Sorry, Ian.
Robinson was after his money back.
Yeah,
He was 20 million in debt, and he had enough.
yeah, and I think some of the directors were buying the players. It was a right old mess, wasn't it?
That's why Robbie Keane went,
Yes,
because
yes.
the profit went to one of the directors. That was the deal. I'll give you 6 million to buy him if you give me any profit you make on him.
I think it was Robinson, wasn't it? Jeffrey Robinson, I think. So, Assassin's United,
Yeah,
this is the point. Eccles started CCFC career at right back and was decent. I can remember him playing at Stoke as a wing back and Southampton the FA Cup. That was 2 great performances, and he looks quite good there. I think I'd sooner stick him out there, to be honest. Good. This is Glenn Watkin. Good win for the under-21s v Sheffield Wednesday midweek, though. It was very good.
Yeah, good point.
Very good. All Travel Advice says our youngsters keep getting stolen by Chelsea and Man City.
Against 10 men.
Yeah. Harry 74, I'd play Lati Baudier in a sweeper role.
I think we need to do something like that.
Yeah, we need somebody either in front or behind. We need, but he needs to be somebody. If you play sweeper, you got to know what you're doing. You got to be in control. You have to tell everybody where to go. This is the problem, isn't it? Fads would have been a great sweeper. You know, somebody like that.
Don't really rate Lati that much, to be honest.
And you got to be able to cover the whole back line, because if the ball goes through, you as a sweeper has got to get there. You know, that's your job.
I kind of feel like Lati, I think he could be there, but I think they could play through him and
You
just
need to
take
be
him out of the
quicker.
game really quick.
Sorry.
You need to be quick over 5 yards as a sweeper.
Yeah.
You need to be quick over 5 yards as a sweeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Little burst as the balls come through. You cover your defenders quick. You don't need to be quick over 30 yards, just 5. And I don't think Lat is.
Because a lot of it you play in your head as a sweeper, don't you? You're playing it in your head. You're reading the game. And currently, I don't think anybody in our defence can read a game because we get caught out so often.
Well, one of the best players at doing that was Richard Shaw. Richard Shaw was terrific over 5 yards.
Yeah. Roberto's view. Yep. No leaders in the team. No mean players in the team. Sky Blue. Interesting. Sky Blue deck. Everything 0026. Anything CCFC. We don't defend our 18-yard box well enough. This is true. It's interesting because we were in the gods last Saturday again, and when you get a fantastic view of that pitch and you can see where all the spaces are, and it's when you're sitting low down, you get frustrated when people don't make the pass, but when you're high up and you can see it, I sometimes think I can see why some managers do sit in the stand, don't they, to get a better view of what's going on, because Bobby Thomas, the amount of times he looks at our 2 wide players and then doesn't pass the ball to go back to Binks, who gives it back to Thomas, who then looks at Milan and then still doesn't give it to him, and then plays it into Eccles, who's in trouble straight away. I don't understand why you look at somebody, just pass it. You've got to move it quick. I'm hoping that's what Lampard's telling them, to keep moving the ball quick.
He's not confident with his passing, though, is he, Bobby?
No, and I think you're right, because Binks will pick the ball.
He misplaces a couple every game. He looks for the really, really safe option every time.
And I think he's got it in him, though. I do think he's got it in him. I think he needs a bit more belief. Because I actually think, as a defender, I really rate him. I think he does that job really well. It's his outplay that lets him down. But then he does make a couple of worldy ones every now and again. So it's not all the time.
I mean, there's no midfielder.
I like Bobby a lot.
Yeah, me too.
There's no midfielder who comes and takes the ball off him either. So there's that scenario. You know, like Hamer used to come in, didn't he? Take the ball off them and carry on. And there's nobody doing that either. I mean, that must be a confidence thing. You'd have thought. For some reason, I thought Rodoni would be doing that sort of role, taking it off the back 4, pushing the team forward. I'm writing down you spot the balls. If I don't get them all,
I did.
When the show ends, I'll I'll do it then, and then we'll tell you on Sunday who's won it. Right. Ralph Wiggins, get Milan and De Silva out and get a goalkeeper who can take crosses and command his area. You know what? I watched some more Premier League matches last night. The goalkeeping, even at Premier League level, isn't that great when it comes to crosses. I don't know what it is. They just seem to not coached anymore how to deal with balls in the box. It's strange. I don't understand it at all. It's part of the English game, isn't it, really? I know they're trying to...
I heard Fozzie on his podcast, Ben Foster, saying that the new balls over the last 5 years, they move so much and they fly differently to the old standard balls that you hesitate. Because they you can't judge the flight of them as easily as you used to be able to.
Yeah, because the Newcastle goal last night where the keeper, most keepers would have done this. The ball flying over his head. Yeah, it was flying over his head, and everybody would have thought it's just going to go out for a goal kick, and it dropped behind him. And it's a great goal because Newcastle lad kept running, else he would have gone for a goal kick, and he got caught out. And I imagine that's what that's down to, just the flight of the ball. You know, it just seemed to drop. Paul Thompson says the worrying thing is we've not got one player who's likely to take the game by the scruff of the neck and dominate. Graham Cockrell. It's going to take more than a week to fix our defence problems. If we can keep a clean sheet, it would be great.
Agreed.
Roy Messer, Millwall missing both centre-backs. That's true. Very much fancy Sims starting and scoring this weekend. Roberto's view, all we can really want now is no relegation, a nice build-up to next season. Do you think we're in any danger, Ian?
I thought we were poor against Cardiff, second half. And that surprised me. I thought all the players are out there to try and impress a new manager. Spent a couple of days with him. Come on, Frank's here. Let's do our bit. And Eccles, who I quite like, I think Josh never lets you down, was abysmal. Sheaf, fit, not fit, didn't have his usual good game. EMC faltered. Tats started well, faltered. It seemed that after about 50 minutes, they all got jittery after that second goal went in. And I think if we carry on like that, we could be bottom six.
Yeah.
I think there are 3 teams worse than us, thankfully. But they have a habit towards the end of the season of winning daft games. You know, Portsmouth going to Norwich and winning, or Portsmouth going to Burnley and winning. That always happens every season. And I don't think we've got that in us. So I'd like to think, after Frank and his team have been there for a week, we see some changes. We see an increase. We get a couple of loans in January, and we end up mid-table.
Yeah. What about you, Dale? Do you think we're in any danger of relegation?
I'm in two minds. I've got part of me is just black, like, nope, that's not possible. Not going to happen. It won't happen. And if I continue to say it won't happen, it just won't happen. So I'm sort of ignoring it. Sensible head sort of says, like Ian said, watching that second half on Cardiff, sort of hands on my head, and I looked at my dad and I was like, well, I think we're in trouble, really. If we carry on, it's less about, it's more just a feeling when you're looking at them, all of them on there. They just don't give off anything to really believe in. There's just, maybe they're just lost with, I don't know if the Robbins and Vivash thing was happening, it's at least a year, wasn't it? That had been happening for. Maybe that sort of damaged something in them, but they don't give me any belief. Apart from Bissett, and I don't think he's the greatest centre forward, but he has fire. And I think if all of them could show the same sort of fire, then it gives you more belief. Yeah. Long and short of it, I'm ignoring relegation and saying, no, it's not possible. Won't happen. We'll be fine.
I actually think there are 8 teams worse than us below us, actually, when you look at that league. And there's probably 3 teams above us that are not as good as us. So I'm still fairly confident we'll sort this out. But we do need to get some wins. I mean, the only thing I can say about Saturday was, as poor as we were, and I know Cardiff aren't great, but we ended up getting a point. You know, each in some ways, I mentioned it on Sunday. It's probably better than if we'd hammered Cardiff, because I know, you know, a lot of fans would have said, "Oh, it's fantastic." You know, Frank's here, he's sorted it out, and all the rest of it. But I think he saw everything he needed to know about our team in that 190 minutes. The good, the bad, and the ugly. He saw it all there. The way we started, the mistakes, you know, and the lack of confidence. And he said, didn't he, in that second half, how he didn't like what he saw, the way we didn't react in the way he thought we should react. So that's a mentality thing, isn't it? You know, heads dropping, basically, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
That's his biggest challenge. I think if he can, I don't necessarily doubt their skill. I think if he can sort their heads out, I think we'll be all right.
So, excuse me, Frank Wood, we need one of our three keepers to step up and have a decent run in the team. That then gives the central defenders a bit of confidence, and we will build on that. The thing is that I think they've had 11 shots and let in 8 goals. It's just bonkers, isn't it? I don't know anything like it.
Mad.
It's incredible. Paul Thompson, the celebrity is not that goon with the bell, surely? No, he wouldn't fit in the hotel, would he? Is that the one who's tattooed all over, head to toe, isn't he? Stephen McGovern, he'd eat Mars alive, wouldn't he? Stephen McGovern, Coventry looking at German left back Kai Wagner, loose lips sinks ships Doug. Having spoken to Doug, he wasn't impressed when things are leaked, so it wouldn't be, you know, if someone's leaked it out, he ain't going to be happy, because he says you can't do business while people keep leaking out stories. So
Burnley are going for him as well, I think.
Yeah, they'll probably get him then if they're going up. Not
that they need their defence bolstering.
Yeah, they're so boring though, aren't they?
Oh yeah,
they are. So I mean, I predict them to go up as champions, and they called them boring Burnley because I know what they're going to be doing, and they're slowly doing it now. And I'm sure most of the time we defend well, we don't concede many chances, but when we do, they go in. Correct. Assassins Unite. Lampard has a decent record managerially. At Derby, reached the playoffs. Chelsea qualified for Champions League, then kept Everton up before it went wrong. We should be happy.
You talk to Chelsea fans, because I said that about the Champions League, and the Chelsea fans are like, yeah, we were already there or thereabouts, though. Which I found interesting.
Yeah. Talking about new manager bounce, I don't know if anybody watches the history podcast I do with Jim Brown, but that's what it was about this week. Do you know, I'll ask you both, which was the last manager to win their first game in charge for Coventry City, coming in as a new manager?
Ron Atkinson, West Ham 2-0. Mike Marsh scored.
Dale, any ideas?
Eric Black?
It was actually Stephen Pressley. That was the last manager. I think in the last 20 years, I think we worked out that only 4 had actually won the first game. And then then you kind of look at it and you think, well, if you got a new manager, it's because you sacked the one you didn't want because you're not doing well. So you're coming into a team that's not high in confidence anyway. So the new manager bounce, is it just that one game, or is it a run of games? Or you've lost your manager because someone's poached him. So you need a new manager. Now, since the 1950s, with Jesse Carver, he got poached. Since the 1950s, only one manager has been poached by another club, and that's Mark Robbins when he went to Huddersfield. That's incredible, isn't it?
What, we've sacked the rest?
Well, yeah, nobody wanted any of the others either. That's what I thought was funny. So yeah, that's a lot of years where no one's coming for your manager. So don't fear, we're not going to lose our manager to another club anytime soon, or unless Frank Lampard does a good job, I suppose. Asante, to be played as an attacking midfielder. What are your views on Asante? Because I'm not sure. He runs around a bit. He's got a control that's terrible at times. What do you think, Dale?
I think he's chaotic. I think to get the better of him, maybe they need to just tell him to calm down a little bit. And like you say, first touch is dog water. Terrible.
Yeah. What do you think, Ian?
Same. He loses possession. Very rarely holds it up. One good thing Saturday, he was always looking to get the ball into the box, to be fair to him. So he was trying to create something. Scored a lovely goal against Spurs, so he can finish. But against Sheffield United, brainless. That ball across where he scored, he didn't need to be offside.
Yeah.
He didn't need. Same with Mason Clark against Burnley. They didn't need to be offside. Moments like that lose matches.
Yeah, because, I mean, Doug King was raving about that goal against Burnley by EMC. I'm thinking, yeah, but he was offside. It makes no odds, does it? Yeah,
And he was clearly offside.
It was a great piece of skill, but the better skill would have been to stay onside, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, to stay onside and score. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, just tap it in.
So Frank Wood says, whoa, Strachan had to build and sell 3 teams during his time here and did an amazing job with what he had. Well, if you call amazing getting relegated, I'm not sure. I disagree with that. I'm sorry. Phil Bevan, I hope we see different changes in formation on Saturday. Agree with Dale on his formation. Maybe change or Sheaf with Lats. There you go, Dale. You got the job. You could be the assistant manager. I wonder if Rob, our assistant coach, who was his name escapes me now. He was in charge at Millwall, wasn't it?
Reece Carr.
No,
Edwards.
Edwards, sorry, that's it. He because the first game in charge, they battered Sheffield Wednesday 4-0, didn't they? And then the second game was against us, and they were playing at home. We beat them 3-0. So we were trying to get a Millwall fan on to get their views on Edwards, but we didn't in the end. What was interesting, they came on last year about a similar time of season, and they're on a good run. And they were predicting they were going to win 3-0 at our place. We weren't playing particularly well, and we beat them. So I thought, hopefully, the same could happen.
You can't play Jay De Silva Saturday against a very direct side with 2 or 3 big forwards, because they'll just do what Cardiff did and put a 6'3" bloke out there and tore them apart in defence. You need your bigger men in. It wouldn't surprise me to see Kitchen playing Saturday.
They're 9 unbeaten, but they're only scoring 1 goal a game. So I mean, we'll have to score 2 anyway, probably, because we let goals in. But they're not prolific, which I think is their downfall. It's been Millwall's downfall.
Should I remind you of that at 5 o'clock Saturday?
Yeah. Well, that's been their downfall, though, the last 3 seasons, because they've been up there at the start of the season, then they run out of goals, basically, and they start losing games.
Cardiff hadn't won away from home or scored goals, so, yeah.
Well, I know. And you know what? We got West Brom on Wednesday. They've got a worse home record than us, and yet they're in the playoffs. They must be great away from home. I think they've scored 4 goals at home all season.
Wow.
I think.
But all of those have been recently, haven't they?
And they've only won 1 at home this season, which I find astonishing. So it sounds like Corberan set his team up to play away from home, and if they probably can't play that way at home because they're, I don't know. It works away from home, but not at home. That's what I'm trying to say. So, be interesting. So
you're predicting 6 points out of the next 2 games, then, Claudio?
Ian, funny things things like that happen. It does in football. It just does. Lee Beckett, Latty is our poor James Milner. I'll tell you what, even at his age, I would take James Milner now.
Latty's nowhere near James, but even a poor James Milner. James
Milner would be the ideal sort of player to have at this club to do that role of the old head in midfield. Yeah. Easy. That's the sort of thing we need to be looking at. Forget the actual age. It's just the whole experience. I mean, I've never been a fan of Ashley Young, yet he's still scoring in the Premier League tonight. I mean,
Well, Jordan Henderson's only on 40 grand a week at Ajax.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we need to look at something like that.
Is that all he's on?
I read somewhere that he'd taken such a payoff from Saudi that Ajax didn't have a lot of money, so he said, I just want to get out. And somebody said he's on 40 grand a week. Hey, Who knows? He might be on 140 a week. It's just you read these things and they get it from somewhere.
God, imagine that, only 40 grand a week. I won't get out of bed for that, Ian. Mind you.
Well, they're plumbers' rates, aren't they, Dale?
I was going to say, yeah.
Not quite, mate. Not quite. Not quite. A year, maybe.
Sausage United, he's gone for Wilson, Eccles, Bidwell, Sheaf, Binks, Thomas, Sakamoto, Torp, Wright, Rudy, and Mason Clark. Pineapple turnovers. Eccles, our main defensive midfielder. He always looks more comfortable on his own as a more central defensive midfielder, in my opinion. Against Leeds last year, Sheaf hasn't looked the same since the injury. Sir Stanley Matthews, says Stephen McGovern. I'll finish the sentence. He used to practice over 3 yards. It certainly worked for him. Fan Hunter, he agrees with pineapple turnovers on the Sheaf. Same could be said for, is that Sats? It should be Tats, I think, probably. Frank Wood said, Thomas gave the ball away out of defence 13 times against Burnley. I counted them. I actually believe that. I thought it could have been more, to be honest. Spot on from Fran Hunter with the new balls and crosses. So why do we try so often to walk the ball through, get it wide, get an early cross in?
First time as well. First time.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting because we're told by Doug King we are Premier League fit. And James Hollyoake says we don't look fit enough. And I thought
I agree.
We looked like we were running in treacle for the last half hour of that game. Now, whether it's just nerves or something's got hold of some, especially the midfielders, but I don't think we look that fit at all. What do you think, Ian?
2 games in a week. Derby, awful. The other game, when we had a terrible, was it Swansea? We'd had a midweek game as well. They just don't seem to be able to put 2 games together on a midweek and a weekend.
They need to get a grip.
And it's interesting. I don't know what you think, though, Dale, because when you are playing well and things are going well, players seem just to be fitter, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It looks more effortless. They don't look like they're burning as much energy. But Ian's 100% right. I guess we'll see how we perform at the Den. They would have had a full week. If they turn up then they're not fit enough. And they can't handle... If we get any... If we win on the odd thing that we'll win at Millwall, they've had the days and it's a fitness issue, surely.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's something quite not right in regards of being able to play. I mean, we're not even... It's not like we're playing full pelt. It doesn't feel like it at all. You know, it's... I mean, if you look at Saturday, where we're walking around most of the time, you know, it's not like fast possession-based football, is it? It's quite slow. That needs to change. It needs to change. Roberto View, what kind of sporting director do you think Doug will go for? Can only dream of someone like Mark Overmars coming in. The other Thursday, which was a week ago now, we had the fans forum thing with Doug King and John Taylor, and people asked about the sporting director, and Doug said, listen, because he always says that, listen. It takes time, doesn't it, is what he said. We've just had a new manager, got new coaches, things like that take time, is what he's saying. So it's obviously that's the way they want to go, but I don't think it's going to be in the next couple of months. I think that if it happens, it'll be a summer appointment, I think.
I'm always surprised and confused at what a sporting director does. You've got a coach who's in charge of the team, the setup, the tactics, yes or no on the recruitment. You've got a recruitment head who does all the data and all the searches and all the, checkups on medicals and fees. You've got Doug who says yes or no on the money. You know, we can't afford him or we can afford him. So what does the sporting director do?
I mean, does he oversee the whole lot? I mean, is he the one who comes up with a strategy of how the club is going to play? Because I'd like to think if you've got a sporting director and all these other coaches and analysts, that the club are going to say, right, from now on, we are playing 4-3-3. We're playing 4-3-3 from the under-10s all the way through the club. That's how we're playing from now on. And that's it. That's the way forward. And
but Frank would determine that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but I think what they do is, as a club, you say, this is how we're playing from now on. And whoever comes in,
okay,
that's how you're playing. But I
we've
presume
also got a performance director who would look at longevity, at the data, at the stats, at health, nutrition. The only thing I could think is that, you've got a spreadsheet with who's coming out of contract when, what the worth is, have they had their head turned, like succession planning you would in business. So if Casey Palmer gets his head turned, it's happened, right, we'll get $1 million back for him. Who's the replacement? And the recruitment team should have, against every position, 2 or 3 players, a freebie short term, a young lad with potential, or somebody from the Dutch second division who is named Gus Hamer that might come good in 18 months' time. That's what I think the recruitment team do.
Yeah. And then the manager will say yay or nay, because that's what Doug thinks.
That's like him. I met him. Good character.
Yeah. I mean, he did also say,
sometimes I think you can have too many cooks spoil the broth, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, Doug King did say that he was asked about the recruitment side of things, and he said, you got to be mad to think I'm not going to be involved when I'm the one signing the check. It's, after all, it's basically saying it's my money. So I am not going to.
Absolutely right. But his role is, right, you've seen this lad called Ephraim Mason-Clark. You want him. Right. I'm not spending more than $5 million on him, because that's what Posh wants. Leave it with me. I'll go and talk to the chairman. But you definitely want him, Mark. Yes. Recruitment. You've done all the background checks. I know nothing about football, says Doug. You've done all the background checks. You've done all the character checks. You've done all the medical and fitness. Great. Leave me to go and have a night in a hotel with their chairman. Got it down to $4.5 million. Agreed a loan. Sorted out wages. 4-year contract done.
Yeah, because he won't know the value of the player. He's obviously got to rely on the people in the club to say,
yes,
they want $6 million, but we shouldn't be paying more than 4. Basically.
Huddersfield wanted $5 million for Rodoni. Nah, not having it.
Yeah.
What was it? 2.5 up front with $1 million on add-ons or something. 3.5 total.
Yeah, I think
a lot more reasonable. Right. So yes, I mean, Doug quite rightly, as it's his money, would turn around and say, ain't having that. No, they wanted far too much. But he would have Dean Austin in his ear saying, actually, this lad, Gus Hamer, I think he could be worth 1.2 million.
Yeah.
I know Doug wasn't there at the time, it was Sisu, but those people around him have got to say it's a risk, it's not a risk. But yeah, Doug says has the final power of veto. Of course he does.
I'll just do some more comments and we'll get your third lineup up, Dale.
Sure, everyone's sick of them by now.
Have you been that second one?
That one's got to be, mate. Yeah.
So
I don't think the third one's much better, to be honest with you.
James Holyoke says, when's the last time we played for a whole game? Good point, Mark Lights. As Clough always stated, all good teams built from a solid defence.
Long time.
Paul Stratton, if we keep conceding 2 goals a game, we are in grave danger of getting relegated. Worrying Frank commented on our commitment. Mason Clark must start on the left. Robbins played him on the right. He looked awful. That's Assassins Unite. And Assassins Unite also says managers rarely take over a job with a team in a good position.
Very true.
Mark Rainbow.
True.
Views on Asante best summed up. Someone suggested song. That's when he hits you in the head and you're sat in row Z. That's Asante. That's to Amore, isn't it? And he broke out to song then. Paul Stratton.
That is funny.
We are talking about.
We should say that. We should say that. We haven't got any songs left, so.
Well, this is the problem. We're talking.
Norman needs a song.
Yeah, we are talking about players who have cost millions. Doug has a lot to answer for. Asante, a good player to bring on if you're losing or chasing a game. He has lots of pace and always harasses opposition. You said, we said, with all this talk about Robbins going to Hull, who would we have as assistant coaches without AD, and he would struggle? Roberto's view, Strachan so close to European place, then he sank the Sky Blue Titanic a season or two later. Like most Cov managers, let down by the club overall in investment. Mark Rainbow, I find Mason Clark frustrating. His starting position for most of his runs is offside. Ben Green, the Baggies always seem to get one over us. Oh, they do actually. So, yes. Henderson deferred the Saudi wages due to tax and can collect it in 2 years, says Lee Beckett. Roberto's view, O'Hare was good because he broke the opposition down, stopped them getting rhythm. I can see Asante doing that well too.
It's not a bad shout. Try him as the 10.
Yeah. Strange to see Tavares in the lineups to me. He's the player no one wants, and I wonder what his problem may be. That's from Paul Cutterford. I mean, he's on the bench. He doesn't even get on, does he?
No.
Good well at Wembley.
Yeah. Kev 380. On the fitness issue, has anyone took up Doug's offer to see what the performance director does at the training ground? There was a message in saying somebody has written an email, is yet to have a response. Trust me, they are slow at responding to emails.
I think that was just he had his wall up, didn't he? And he threw that out there.
Yeah, Lee Dan. I think Frank will have them playing a high press, which you see snippets of within the first 10-15 minutes v Cardiff. Change the silver for Bidwell. More effort should help us get through to the January window. Well, this is a point here. I like this. Frank Wood, a sporting director does everything Doug King is doing now. See, John Taylor, people think John Taylor's doing the Dave Body role. He's not. John Taylor is like operations manager. He's looking after the day-to-day running of club issues, nothing to do with recruitment side of things and all that kind of thing. Basically, Doug King's doing that job. Pineapple turnovers De Silva hasn't impressed. Would rather use Bidwell. Waited too long now for him to show. Think it's time to sell him and move on. Ben Green, the issue with Doug is he's all hands-on with the signings, but doesn't have a football brain. That's what we need the sporting director for. Stephen McGovern, players need to be dropped for lack of effort or last season's performances or price tag. I hope Frank Lampard has a good look at our youth team. And Lee Dan, it's concerning that some players look scared, made schoolboy errors. Whether this is fearful of the fans, Frank, or a lack of confidence, who knows? I believe Frank will help our players with this. I always feel sorry for schoolboys because I bet loads of schoolboys thinking, I wouldn't make that error. You always say schoolboy error, don't you? Harrison Burrows is an example of not paying the asking price. That's from Lee Beckett. Now, let's have a look at your third selection. Right. Talk us through this one.
Have I got too many players on there?
Yeah.
Change the rules. I
like that idea. Play with 12.
Yeah, play with 12.
But
that's knackered.
That's knackered.
Play a 5-4-2.
Knackered, mate. Knackered.
Well, okay. If you took, I mean, you leave best set in there, and I suppose.
Is there 13 on there? I can't count.
4-3-3-1. Love it.
Oh, can you imagine?
Anyone on notice?
Run away with it, mate. Champions League in no time.
Well,
you had a bad day at work.
Yeah.
Busy one today, that was.
Ben Green's put that formation is Todd Bowley football. I like that. So
learn my lesson there, guys. Won't be doing that again. That's
never put it in writing.
Yeah,
never put it in writing.
Nah, I was going to slip up at some point.
So on Saturday we've got Millwall. Now the head-to-head, we've won 34, Millwall 32, draws 15. Means absolutely nothing on Saturday. The first time we played them was 1908 in the Southern League. But since 2015, we've won 3 and drawn 2 and lost 1 at the new Den. That includes a 4-0 win and a 3-0 win. And at home, we've won 4 and lost 2. So really, the last 10 years, we've had a decent record against Millwall. What do you think to this Saturday? Because they're on a decent run. What are your prospects, Dale, for this one?
I thought about it when we were talking earlier about them being scared. And I was thinking, they look scared against a really poor Cardiff side at home. How are they going to go and play against a pretty good Millwall side at the Den if they're scared at the CBS against 4 teams? I don't know. I'm not expecting a lot from it. I don't think there's been enough time to see, and I hope we'll see like a glimpse of change, but I'm not expecting a lot. I'll take a point again. I'm bored of points, bored of draws, but I would take it at the minute.
Ian?
Mine's head and heart. I love the club to death, and I want us to sneak a 1-0. I think we'll lose 1-0. I think it'll be a solid, stoic, hard-working performance. Not many chances. Lots of long balls in from Millwall. Bobby and Binksy playing their heart out, but 1 will get through. We can't defend well enough for 1 not to get through. That's my worry. But yeah, I'll have a bet on it that we win 1-0.
Yeah, I'm not sure with this one. The thing is, if we get a decent result Saturday and Wednesday, Frank Lampard will have had the new manager bounce, wouldn't he? If you think about it. We need to shore up our defence. That's obvious. I think you're right, Ian. We do well to keep a clean sheet. I'm hoping we'll outscore them. So I'm going for a 2-1 win. It won't be pretty, but I think we've got enough about us to get a win. And I mean, we've done it already this season against a couple of clubs where I didn't expect it. Middlesbrough away, I know they went down to 10 men, but if anything, we looked better when it was 11v11, didn't we, than when they had the bloke sent off. But it's going to be tough. But I'm going to go for a 2-1. But it's whether or not we can score the goals as well. I mean, to me, I think if anyone's betting, they'll stick a few quid on the draw, wouldn't they? But I'm forever saying draws, so I'm going for a 2-1 to City. I can't go all the way to Millwall and not think we're not going to win. What's the point?
A long way for a draw.
I know. But yes. So Frank Wood says, I just want to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
And Chris Foster says, well, they will score twice, of course. James Hollyoak says a 2-0. Ben Green, agreed after the Cardiff game. I'm fearing that Millwall and West Brom game could be a relegation after them games. Is Ian related to Cary Grant, says Tom Baker. Are you related to Cary Grant? Oh, maybe not.
No.
I think you need to give those glasses to Tom Baker.
They're more like Eric Morecambe, I think.
So this is a question which came up, which I noticed
He died about 20 years ago, didn't he?
Maybe he thinks it. I think he means that you look like him when he was alive, not dead.
I was just going to say, I know I'm getting on a bit, but yeah.
Right. Nothing to do with Saturday, but this is to do with most Saturdays. What's your thoughts on refs possibly handing out corners for keeper time wasting? Now, the current law, I thought the law was 6 seconds. I've been told it's not anymore. It's an unreasonable amount of time, which obviously seems to be more than 6 seconds because no one gets blown up for it. So what do you think, Dale? Do you think they should give a corner or maybe just actually do what the rule book says and give an indirect free kick?
Yeah, there's got to be something. It's always been there, and Wilson does it. But Yeah, I think something. If you start putting in the indirect free kick or the corner, I think you'll see it happen less and less. I'm more bothered about the keeper going down for the tactical chat on the sidelines at the minute. That's really getting to me.
But that's an easy one to stop. If a goalkeeper goes down where it's not a clear, clash with the centre forward, and he just drops like they're prone to, the referee should say, if the EFL will sanction it, or FIFA, whoever it is, that no player can go within 25 metres of the bench. And if you do, you're booked. You stay exactly where you are and you move away. And then when the keeper does get up, it's an additional 2 minutes on top of what I've already got on the clock for you being down. It would stop it overnight.
Yeah, because there's no need for players. I always thought you could only go for a drinks break when it's indicated by the referee.
Yeah, in the summer.
Yeah, you don't see, when an outfield player goes down, you don't see the whole team walk over to the coaches, do you? They just stand around and wait.
Well, that will be the next thing, won't it? That the left winger next to the dugout will fall over and they'll all go round to see if he's all right and start chatting to the coach. And the ref's got to do the same thing.
Well, I couldn't believe at the weekend was when the keeper was down, then they put 6 minutes up when he was still down.
Yeah.
Yes, because they flagged 6 minutes. And we said, well, it started now. And we were saying, well, surely it'd be about 8 minutes. And then he blew dead on.
It should have been. It should have been 8 minutes. And there was a substitution during the extra time.
Because I actually thought at the time, though, I did say to Miles, I sat next to Miles, I said, to be honest, I hope he does blow on 6 minutes just so we get a point. Because I was fearing we'd let a late goal in. We've got some more comments coming in. Paul Stratton says, Millwall will be very physical. We need to stand up and be counted if we are to get anything out of this game.
Yeah, true.
The fact you're playing in the Championship, you should be up for it anyway. I mean, every game's a tough game. I don't. Yeah. Well, you see what happens. Richard Overson says, we will get a win. Can see Sims starting. Mark Lights says, we have a chance. Mill will have 3 key players out on Saturday, 2 in defence and a striker. Win 2-1.
Oh, I didn't realise they'd got a heavy injury list or suspension.
Yeah. They have actually. So,
my 1-0 win might be all right then.
Marky boy, 3-1 Cov after a week of solid training. The lads settling after Lampard's arrival. I'm confident we'll pull through and take on board new coaching team's experience and guidance. Do you think it's been very quiet from the club this week? There's been not a lot of noise, has there? It's been very quiet, I think.
Maybe the proper bounce is delayed. Maybe he did come in. He was there for a day and a half. There wasn't really enough time to digest it. So who knows? Maybe the bounce is coming at Millwall. I'll change my answer.
I saw the quote about Ellis Sims from him, which was interesting.
Oh, what did he say?
Well, he was basically saying that at this level it's very competitive and Ellis has got to work. When he came on, he made a difference to get the penalty, but his job is to score goals. And what I want from him is to come on and score goals.
Right.
So I saw that as a not so subtle criticism. Pull your finger out, get working. 1 or 2 people on the forum were saying, no, he wasn't criticising. He was just being supportive. He didn't need to say it, did he?
No.
I don't think there's anything wrong with criticism.
No, nor me. I think Ellis Sims needs somebody to say, "You're 23, son. You've got a chance here. 19 goals last season, but if you don't do it between now and the end of the year, your career's finished. Nobody will buy you."
Yeah. Oh, it'd be another Tyler Walker, wouldn't he? He just slowly slipped up.
Exactly right.
You just think selfishly, these players. Frank Lampard's come in. There's eyes on us at the minute. It started a couple of seasons ago, but there's eyes on us. And now with Frank Lampard in, there is eyes on us. So those players have got to be thinking, even if I'm under no illusion that they're sky blue through and through, but they've got to be thinking, this is a chance here. I can get beyond the championship.
Fran Hunter says, We had 6 games in November. League positions were 13, 17, 17, 17, 17th, and 16th. At least we're consistent. It looks like we're going to finish up about there at this rate, to be honest. We said need 9 in defence, 1 up front. That's the best way. We are not going to lose games. Ben Green says the officiating this season with goalkeepers time waste and not getting booked is a farce.
We'd still put a mistake in.
Yes. Bring a rule where goalies can't pick the ball up. That's what Lee Dunn says.
I agree.
Pineapple turnovers. That's making me hungry, those. Not sure if we should stick with 4-2-3-1 start for this season. 4 wins, 2 draws, 5 losses. Had more success with it last season, so maybe it's just a player issue. Assassins Unite says the best rule football introduced in recent time was a rule to move a free kick back a further 10 yards for descent. Don't know why they stopped it. And it's just like the extra time.
Saying that for years.
The injury time, where the first 2 seasons, the first season we were getting 10 minutes, 11 minutes, weren't we? I can't believe there's games now with only 4 minutes of injury time at the end of the game. It don't make sense to me anymore, how they've gone from one extreme to another.
Yeah, that lasted about 2 months, didn't it?
Yeah. In rugby league, when a player's injured, the game continues around him and physios. We should do the same in football with stamp out cheats out for good. And in rugby union, apparently.
Unless it's in the penalty area, I think that's a good idea.
It is. Now, spot the ball. I don't know if everyone's had a go, and I may have to look back on the correct answers. But here we are. It's one last chance. Get your guesses in. I've noticed some winners. I've seen 3 so far. Which is, it's difficult when you're on your own doing this, but you have to bear with me.
You still owe me a mug, don't you?
Sorry?
I think you still owe me a mug, don't you?
Oh, do we? Have you not had it yet?
From a few weeks ago.
I've worded Ken. He's meant
I sent my lad's address to somebody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I gave it to Ken, yeah. Also,
so what's the winner then?
I'll come to it in a second. If you want to park, home matches, big parking's your man, a woman, or they, it, them, whatever. It's, yeah. For your parking near the arena. And also, they do the coach travel to away games as well. I'm very good at it as well. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got all these fancy little gimmicks now, see, like that. We'll be back on Sunday, obviously, with I think everyone's back on Sunday. Oh no, here we go. We've got loads more guesses now. Right, okay. I've made a note of those. Right, I'll get the winner. Here comes the winner. Now, I think I've only got 3 winners. And it's number 7.
Yay. I got that as well.
That's Dale, Doug Bolam, and Mark Richardson. I'm not sure if anybody else said 7. So it'll be interesting. I'll just get off the screen. Oh, somebody else say 7, did they? This is from Frank Wood. He says, the laws of the game, referees' power to stop all the cheating. The FA dictates how the referees can use those powers. That's correct. So we've got, I reckon, 3 people have won it. I'm going to have a quick look. Meanwhile, while I'm having a quick look, Dale and Ian are going to tell me where they think, realistically, we could finish this season. So over to you, Dale. What do you think? I mean, considering we've got a January window and you'd like to think we're going to actually sign some players.
Well, emphasis on the could there. You can't say, you never know. Could still... Sorry, my cat's just walked in. You could say 6th, but I think realistically mid-table. Top of the table, I'd be like top half. I'd be happy with. If we turn it around and we hit sort of 8th, 9th, that'd be okay. Playoffs might be a stretch, but who knows? You never know in this league. So let's be positive. We can still finish 6th. We can nick in there.
Ian, yeah, I saw you pull a face then.
Yeah. Only using his third formation will we get 6th, where we've got 12 players up. 12th.
That's top 2, that is, Ian.
Yeah. 12th.
12th. Yeah, I think current form, I think the best we can hope for is mid-table, I think.
Yeah, realistically.
I do think it depends what happens in January. I cannot believe we're not going to have anybody coming in January. I'll be amazed. I can't see how they can think we're strong enough. I know they keep saying about this deck and it's great deck and all the rest of it, but we are definitely lacking. So he needs to bring 2 or 3 players in. I think even to liven the place up a bit, maybe.
A couple of loans.
Yeah, bringing some characters is going to kick a few bottoms, basically, and pick people up and get them out there. Because some of these players, when they're on form, they're good players. They are good players, but it's getting that form out of them somehow. And I'd like to think you got the guy who coached England, Frank Lampard, with his playing career, and he's managed at decent clubs and he's done quite well. And with his backroom staff, you'd like to think.
Well, he's not going to be short of contacts, is he?
No, exactly. So this is interesting because Chris Foster says, Claudio, if you know someone at the stadium, can you get them to sort out the sound system because we can't understand a word from Block 22? Yeah, this gets mentioned at these meetings, and it just seems to be, depends where you're sitting in the ground, because if you're on the side where the dugouts are, it's not too bad at all. In fact, it's too loud. But there's nothing happening, because I'm normally in 18. It just can't hear a thing. I don't even know. Does anybody know what music we run out to now?
Whatever it is, it's rubbish. There's no punch to it or anything. It's just it's some, I don't know what it is, R&B song. I'm not sure. I'm out of touch.
The embarrassing thing is when they interview Andy Wing or Dave Bennett or whoever it is, you can't hear the word they're saying.
I don't think it helps that the announcer or the presenter speaks so closely into the mic. I think it's straight into a PA. I don't even think there's a mixing test.
I feel the inner Roy Keane coming out. It's your job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear this. Can you hear this? That's what we should be running out to.
No.
Played that at my dad's funeral.
That's a good song, but I don't know. You need to get them G'd up.
Oh, there's a bit later on that's a bit quicker. I'll get to it. Hold on.
One for the oldies.
That's what they should be playing.
I like it, but I feel like I'll be walking out like this.
With a bowler hat.
That's the Sky Blue song. That's what it should be. Everton have Z cars still, don't they? They still play the old Z cars.
I'll record a new version of that.
On with heavy metal, trash metal. You look like a trash metal kind of guy. So
trash metal.
Is it?
Thrash.
Do you mean thrash?
A lot of people think it's trash metal, to be fair, so I don't blame you.
Oh dear. Where were we? So the minimum. Lee Beckett says the minimum we need is a left back and a right back. Lee Dan says, I believe we'll make a last dash for the playoffs, but all points we've dropped now will catch up. Realistically, promotion next season under mighty Frank. We said, I think one day football will have heading towards. I think it's run out to Madonna like a prayer. The deck has been lacking since the playoff last season, says Ben Green. Signed too many League One players for big money. Hope it's not where we finish up. That's Paul Stratton. The words are just not audible. They're not, are they? It's awful.
I agree.
Wood, yes, we should. That's our club song, Jimmy Hill, 1963. Exactly, Frank. I agree. Nah. Well, I'd just like to say thank you to Ian, all the way from France, and bonsoir. That's good evening, good night? I said bon nuit.
Bon nuit is a good night. Bonsoir is good good evening, and bonsoir is early evening.
And by the way, what's the weather like there? Because it's torrential here at the minute.
We just started having a downpour because I'm in my loft room and I can hear it. So I'm going to try and get the dogs out before it gets too wet.
All right. And Dale, thanks for coming on, mate. It's a pleasure having you back on.
Thank you.
Nice to chat with you, Dale.
I'll check the number of players next time.
Let's just hope.
No, keep it as it is. I like it.
Oh, hold on. Fran Hunter says, I'm a sound engineer by trade and own a sound company. I've had meetings with the CBS about the sound, but it was the club who recently paid for a tech to retune the system. But it needs a new one. And it does, doesn't it?
The speakers are popped. It just sounds terrible.
It is. I've got some views on that music. Chris Foster says, I'm 60, but that sounds too old for me. At the moment, Phil Bevan says we should run out to the Benny Hill theme. It's insulting to our history that we run out to the blues song. Clive and Oggy always moan it's too loud. Well, it is on that side. It's ridiculously loud. So it's almost like they've got the balance. Someone needs to turn the balance to halfway or something to sort out. Before it took me leave, do you remember running out to the final countdown? That was what we used to run out to, didn't we?
How embarrassing was that?
Yeah, that's not great.
Day Sports Photos. At Highfield Road, there was a defined disconnect as the players shuffled out in ones and twos for the second half, looking sorry for themselves, or at half time, sorry. And that high energy, jazzy version of the Sky Blue song blared out. I used to, I like it anyway. Right then, we'll be back on Sunday. Hopefully, we'll get the 3 points on Saturday, and I'll be, when they start singing "We're Millwall and no one likes us," we'll go, yeah, that's right, because you're rubbish. Anyway, right, good night, fellas, and all you Sky Blue fans out there, give it a big play up Sky Blues, and we'll be back on Sunday. Play up Sky Blues.
Play up Sky Blues.
And you guys, see ya.
See ya.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.